In Ireland, one national organisation, more than any other, expresses the soul of the nation. It is not a political organisation, nor a religious one. Most of its meetings are held in quiet backwaters. Some of its contests transfix the population. It numbers farmers, professors, children, and presidents among its members. It is uniquely of Ireland. It is the GAA.
After Michael Cusack, founder of the Gaelic Athletic Association, called upon the people of Ireland to take the management of athletics into their own hands and to promote every form of Irish athletics. An inland revenue officer by the name of J.T. Murphy, known as Gauger Murphy, organised the first team from Taghmon Parish to play under GAA rules. The men on this all-parish team were picked as much for their ability to wrestle as to kick football, wore black and gold jerseys with a gold harp and shamrock. They walked to Morntown to play in the first county championship of 1886, and an insight into their match against Kilmannon can be gleaned from the few verses of a ballad. Last Sunday, when first Mass was over, the sun from the heavens shone down. On the road I met bold Simon Larkin, and he going to sweet Morntown. Says he, do you think can we make it, or will we be in time for the fun? For this is the day of the contest between the Kilmannon boys and Taghmon. Taghmon were admired by the people. Their colours near eclipsed the sun. I fear 'tis all over, says Simon, for these are fine boys from Taghmon. Tom Connors, he upset Big Condon. Nick Sinnott lay flat on the plain. Young Doyle he disabled the champion, and Simpson laid out Peter Crane. James Power he went for the captain. Dan Kavanagh began to complain. Markey he then lost his protectors, and Fitzharris went head over tail. Says Simon, I'll make a conclusion. I never did witness such fun, but we can't represent our own county till we scratch out these boys from Taghmon. The parish fielded two teams, Taghmon Football Club and Taghmon Shamrocks, in 1890. However, football lost its popularity until 1898, when the anniversary of the rebellion provoked an upsurge in patriotic favour and a revival in all things Gaelic. Three teams fielded that year: Taghmon Football Club, Taghmon Shamrocks and Taghmon Fearnoughts. In 1902, Carrory United got to the county semi-final when the great local hero of the time, Jimmy Moore, born in Argentina but then living in Old Bowley, brought about 10 of his fellow countymen to play with Carrow. Camlin from New Ross beat them in the county semi-final, and football went into decline again, mainly because young men were encouraged by the clergy and other influential people to play cricket on Sunday afternoons. With football out of favour, GAA men turned their hand to Cusick's other game, hurling. In 1908, Eddie Gorman formed a team in Camross. Interestingly, this team held their meetings in Dakin's pub, where the Burn House is now, and played their games in Dakin's sports field. Hurls were scarce at the time, and Eddie described in later years how players pulled boughs off trees and shaped them into makeshift hurls as they walked to the games. Taghmon formed the team in 1909, and practice must have been intense there, because it was reported in the paper that if the Taghmon team keep on injuring themselves at this rate, they shortly will not have a team at all. Leaders quickly discovered that it was impossible to make hurlers out of grown men, so hurling faded from the sporting scene and football made a comeback. Taghmon reorganised and played Rosslare in the championship. Young people who nowadays use their mobile phones to convey scores might be interested to know that in this match scores were relayed to Rosslare at half-time and full-time by the dispatch of 2 carrier pigeons. Matty Ryan of Mulmintra got a team together in 1913. However, neither Matty's team nor St. Fintan's made progress. In 1904, Jim Kehoe organised a team called AFAD Stars, and in 1915 this team, now called Trinity Stars, brought the first championship to the parish when they defeated Gorey 1 goal, 1 point to 0-3 in the county final. The club and the whole country entered a period of great turbulence from 1916 to 1923, and GAA affairs were conducted against the background of World War I, the 1916 rebellion, War of Independence and Civil War. Several young men from the parish joined up to fight the Germans, while others chose to lend a hand with the national struggle, and in 1919 several players began to parade and drill in Toboggan's Field at Growtown and in Watt Murphy's Loft at Harristown. The Stars went on to successfully defend their title in 1916, beating Brideswell from Kilrush-Askamore in the final on a 1 goal to 0-2 scoreline. Skipper Codd prepared this team by making them run from Taghmon village to Larkin's Cross and back. 1918 was the first year that the parish fielded a senior team. Jack Crowley from Growtown, winner of 3 senior All-Ireland medals, who played most of his football in Wexford Town, brought some of his Blues and Whites teammates to complement local talent. A combination of civil unrest in the county and the worst flu in recorded history forced the cancellation of all games, and Taghmon didn't field the team again until after the ceasefire on the 30th of April 1923. Fighting over, young men were eager to get back to football, and Taghmon, led by the youthful Jack Fain, got to the district semi-final. A team from Trinity called Durr Bruisers and another from Harristown, led by Watt Murphy, also participated. Little headway was made, however, until 1927, when a team, sometimes called Taghmon and sometimes called the Stars, got down to serious training and went on to win the parish's third junior football championship when they accounted for Enniscorthy Rovers on a 0-7 to 1-2 scoreline. The victorious players were presented with their medals at the club's AGM the following year. They also opted to join the senior ranks. They found the going there tough, however, and reverted back to junior ranks in 1930. The club's fortunes continued to decline, and in 1931 several players transferred to Wat Murphy's newly formed club at Tomcool. In 1933 a new club was formed at Camross, where Father Kelly, concerned about factional differences there, encouraged the people to unite and form a club. For a while in the 30s, three clubs, St Mun's, Trinity Stars and Camross, fielded teams. In 1936, Taghmon and Camross agreed to amalgamate and play in the Ross district. The new combination won the district but went down to the Volunteers in the county semi-final. They kicked far too many bad wides in this game and later blamed their erratic shooting on having only one goal post in Parles Field at Kendrick's Cross, where they practice. A fragment of a Tom Williams poem captures the scene. Or are you the Aidan Morrissey we met when we were young, in Parles' grassy little field in the parish of Taghmon? And in that little field you trained, and sweated blood and tears. If you'd had another goalpost, you'd have beat the Volunteers. In the late 30s and early 40s, the power base of Gaelic games moved away from Taghmon Trinity to Camross, where a group of talented, athletic young men began to come through. This group won the Ross District final in 1937 and went on to meet Owlert in the county semi-final. There were no dressing rooms in Belfield at this time, and teams togged out in Murphy Flood's hotel. As the Camross players were leaving the hotel to go to Belfield, a female worker in the hotel sprinkled them with holy water in an attempt to protect them from the fearsome Owlert men who had a reputation for not taking prisoners. The holy water appeared to have worked, as Camross raced into a 3-1 to nil lead at the interval. Its effects then appeared to fade, because shortly after Owlert got their only score, a point, all hell broke loose and the pitch was invaded. Such was the ferocity of the fighting that the guards were sent for to restore order. When play resumed, Camross ran out comfortable 6-2 to 0-1 winners. After a long drawn out inquiry, Camross were declared the winners and advanced to meet the Volunteers in the county final 2 weeks before Christmas. This game was described as the best match of the year, and the result wasn't balanced until the final minutes, when defenceless lapses let Brendan Corish and John Howland in for goals to secure victory for the townsmen. Camross soon showed that they were able to compete with the big boys at senior level, taking the scalps of St Martin's, Sarsfields and the Starlights to book their place in the county final against kingpins at the time, the Volunteers. In what was described as the worst exhibition of sportsmanship ever witnessed in the county, they once again failed to match the Volunteers in a big game. The Vols led by 1-6 to 1 point at the interval. The second half degenerated into bouts of fisticuffs, and when Camross complained that the referee had sent the wrong Camross man off, more fighting began and the referee abandoned the game. In their deliberations, the county board awarded the match to the Volunteers and suspended several of the Camross men. Incensed by the perceived injustice of the ruling, Camross refused to enter a senior team in the 1941 championship and decided to concentrate on hurling. This combination of half a dozen natural hurlers and strapping, robust footballers come hurlers went on to become a formidable outfit. They swept all before them in the Ross district and advanced to the 1941 county final by defeating Glynn in the semi-final. Nature became their downfall, however, because as players and supporters made their way to Macmine to play Came in the county final, the worst thunderstorm ever to hit the area erupted, forcing everyone to seek shelter. By the time several key players arrived at Nolan's Field, they found the match in progress and came ruling the roost. The rearranged Camross men fought hard to rein in Came's big lead, however the clock beat them. In late November, Camross mobilised at Barry's Cross and went in a convoy of bicycles to Wexford Park, where they secured the parish's first hurling title when they scored a resounding 9-3 to 2-3 victory over hapless Islegate. 1943 was the first time in the history of the parish that both hurlers and footballers competed at senior level. They found the going tough, however, and both teams made early exits. Taghmon meanwhile reorganised and succeeded in getting into the district final in 1944. Under the watchful eyes of Nick Brady and Phil Parle, they sailed through the Wexford district in 1945, and on the 30th of March 1946 they drew with Ballinglen from Castletown, and in July secured the parish's fourth junior football title when they won the replay on a 1-8 to 2-3 scoreline. 1946 was unique in the history of Gaelic games in County Wexford, because it was the only time that two senior football teams from the same parish met in the first round of the championship. This mouth-watering fixture raised interest in football to fever pitch, and when Taghmon and the Ballyhogue strengthened Camross met in August, every man, woman and child from the parish was in Wexford Park. While the Taghmon men gave as good as they got, Camross Ballyhogue advanced to the county semi-final, where they lost out to a very strong Enniscorthy side. When the country lay under a blanket of snow in the winter and spring of 1947, Camross divorced Ballyhogue and joined up with Taghmon. The new all-parish club drew with Gusrawn in the first round but lost the replay at Belfield. Once again, Camross and Taghmon went their separate ways in 1948. Tom Cool and Trinity also fielded teams that year, making it 4 teams in the parish. It was the regraded hurlers of Camross that made the most progress before failing to St Martin's in the county semi-final. The move back to junior grade paid off in 1949 when the newly formed Tom Cool got to the district semi-final, and Camross embarked upon an unbeaten run of 12 games to record the historic double of hurling and football. In 1952, all 4 clubs of the parish joined up to form a new club called Owen Rose. While the new club's footballers made an early exit, the hurlers made it to the county semi-final when they were beaten by the emerging Fight Harriers. The Owen Rose only lasted for a year, and in 1953 the 3 clubs went their own way once again. While Taghmon got to the district final that year, Camross seniors and Taghmon juniors failed to progress. In 1954, Taghmon, Tom Cool and Trinity joined up to form St Mun's, and this combination went on to become the most successful team in the history of the parish. In 1954 they won the parish's 7th junior football title when they defeated Castletown after a replay. In April 1956 at Belfield, this talented group brought the first senior football championship to the parish when they won the 1955 football title by scoring a resounding 4-5 to 1-3 victory over Ferns. Although hotly fancied to triumph again in 1956, they failed to Ballyhogue in the semi-final. They bounced back again in 1957 to beat St Mary's of Enniscorthy in the final, and retained their crown in 1958 when they received a walkover from St Mary's in the final. In the season 1969-70, the club at Camross under the chairmanship of Phil Kelly was wound up, and 84 years after Gage Murphy's team of black and gold, hurlers and footballers from the parish gave their allegiance to the blue and gold of Taghmon Camross. In 1985, the new club's hurlers got to the county final. Once again the gods frowned and they lost to the Shamrocks by a single point. In 1987, however, their luck changed and they finally tasted victory by beating Owlert in the county final after a replay. The footballers reached the 1973 county intermediate final but lost out to Kyle Nearan. Their barn spell ended, however, when they accounted for St Mary's and Magdalen Town to regain their senior status in centenary year 1984. They dropped back to intermediate again and in 2008 won the championship in that grade. When hurling took off in the Camross area in the 40s, Nan and Eileen Morrissey, Gertie and Stella Fox, Josie McLaughlin and others took up the game. While they practiced their hurling skills with the men in Camross, they played for Adamstown. The first recorded camogie club in the parish was formed in 1958, and under the stewardship of Tommy Ryan, Tom Cogley and Phil O'Brien, the girls trained in Joan Murphy's field at Coolaw and in Ryan's field at Tom Cool. Featuring the great Mary Sinnott from Affad, the new club won the County Junior Championship in 1960. The club disbanded in 1964 but was revived again for the National Féile in 1998 with Andres Ryan at the helm. 2 years in existence, the club enjoyed its first success when the under-16s won Ryan at 3, beating Ballymitty in the final. They repeated defeat in 2002, accounting for Ladies Island in the decider. And to crown a great year, the same girls won the league and the under-14 Ryan at 3, beating St Aina in the final. Backbone by members of the winning teams, the club went on to win a Junior B title in 2005, beating Nave Aina after replay. The Ladies Football Club in Taghmon was founded in 1992 by Anne Hannon and Breda Manville. Having elected officers and put structure to the club in 1993, they welcomed the record title that same year, a feat they repeated in 1999 and 2004. An under-16 B title came their way in 1994. This cup was won again in 1999, and though moved up a grade the following year, they took the Premier title, beating the Mighty Shells in the final. The same group of ladies also won the league during this period. 2001 turned out to be a dismal year as the club lost 3 county finals. They bounced back the next year, however, to record their biggest achievement by accounting for the Shelmaliers in the final of the Junior Championship and going on to the Leinster final, where they had to give way to Lucan Sarsfields from Dublin. Even though none of the clubs in the parish had an underage structure before 1970, Camross managed to win a Ross District Minor Football Championship in 1950. The same year, Andy Doyle led Tom Cool to a district final. Underage activities have come a long way in the club from the days when it comprised the last item on the agenda at the club's annual general meeting. Ever since Dennis Nolan moved it up the agenda, and more especially since Borden and O began to organise their affairs at their own AGM in the late 1980s, underage hurling and football has flourished, and benefiting from the expertise and commitment of their mentors brought to the parish. Up until the early 1960s, teams in the parish depended upon local farmers for fields on which to practice and play, and players tugged in and out in the shelter of ditches and hedgerows. In the 1950s, a group of progressive people under the leadership of Sergeant O'Connell purchased land at Powellmarl and set about providing a permanent playing pitch there. Tugging out by the side of the ditch became a thing of the past with the provision of dressing rooms in the early 1980s. 1995 witnessed the purchase and development of a second pitch, followed in 1995 by the building of 4 new dressing rooms, toilet facilities, a licensed clubhouse with function room and kitchen in an impressive extension to the community centre. In the season 2005-2006 a hurling wall was added, and the ambitious project was crowned by the installation of floodlights on the upgraded pitch around the same time. Thanks to the vision and commitment of hundreds, indeed thousands of people from this community, from Gage or Murphy's men up to the present day, Gaelic games and these state-of-the-art facilities have become a vital part of the cultural and social infrastructure of our parish. We owe them all a great debt, and in the words of the poet, "For these are deeds which will not pass, and names that must not wither."
I was born in a country where people admire their great sporting heroes and how they aspire to stand upon mountains and always be winners and never give less than their all. I once met a known man who told me great stories of legends of old who played hard for the glory of lifting the cup in that moment of triumph. These memories kept me enthralled. On the fields of glory, on the fields where boys become men, on the fields of glory, may the best team win in the end. Supporting their team with the true sense of place are the handfuls of people with pride on their faces. They come from the townlands, the parish, the village. Their banners they proudly unfurl.